Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I cover individual companies, individual sectors. I look for things that are down and undervalued. And then as they bottom, we invest or I invest. And you get to see me kind of take these positions and put them on and in what companies and why I'm putting those positions on in those companies. We just had a training session this past question and answer session, and it covered a lot about the energy sectors and kind of how I'll say everything interacts with energy. So that is posted on the website. So let's dive in here. Let's take a look and see what's going on the daily. So we get the DXY here, and what do I see in the DXY? I see continued strength potential. The way that I am viewing this is a pullback. You can see all the big red candlesticks. This side going forward, we've got large green army candlesticks, which is stair-stepping to the upside. So that's the type of configuration or candlestick formations that I look for and why I think we could potentially continue higher. Higher dollar generally means that we see stronger yields. Now, since this is really short term, this can change at any moment. So that momentum is still in the charts to the upside. But if I see a candlestick that kind of reverses it, maybe a bearish engulfing, which is red, we could go lower at that point. But right now, everything's intact to go higher. The 2-year yield, still looking pretty good. It's hanging on. I don't see a reverse yet. To me, it looks like we can still continue a little bit higher. This one doesn't look as juicy as maybe the long end of the curve, but it is hanging out and it is moving sideways to slightly higher. The TNX, if we back out a little bit more, I'm going to throw a horizontal line here. So if you throw a horizontal line right in this general location, the reason I put that location is because we hit our head multiple times there. We hit our head here, came up above, struggled to get above it, but then punched through it. It provided a little bit of resistance. You can see we've got more resistance coming on this side. Are we going to punch through or are we going to roll on over? At this time, it's kind of difficult to say exactly, and we're trying to make predictions here, which I don't like to do, but if I were to guess, I think that we're going to try to punch through it. And the reason I take that stance is because we've got the DXY that still looks strong. So you kind of look at some of these currencies, you look at things that are correlated and interconnected together, and then it paints a full picture story. Now, I could very well be wrong. It is the short term, but right now I think it's trying to punch through, and that's why we've come back up to that resistance level. It's going to try to punch through it. It'll probably squeeze up to some degree, and we'll see if we're successful at punching through. The 30-year is doing the same thing. We're right underneath resistance here. It's the same type of setup that we just went through, and we're up against it trying to punch through. Another thing I look for is, do we get large selling pressure candlesticks at the resistance, or do we get these little guys that are just piling up right underneath saying, you know what, the selling pressure isn't that great, and it's a good chance that we could punch through this thing. That's what it looks like to me at the current moment. But again, it also looked like that here. We came back, and then we are trying to attack it again. TYX, TNX ratio moving slightly, basically moving sideways. We're right at support. It's at a very low level. Generally, when this uninverts is when gold starts to rip. We're still inverted. TLT, we're right on support, and it's basically just sitting on support for bond prices. Looking at gold obviously not moving much of anywhere. We didn't really have a big move in yields, nothing uninverted or inverted. nothing was really going on today to excite gold to either direction. So we were down sideways 0.22%. We do have a gap that we just filled here recently. We are at a very high level. And one thing you want to look at when you start to reach these highs, up here, and you keep hitting your head, you're looking for what is the response of the sellers. Are we getting sold off with great authority? Are we throwing in gigantic red candlesticks? Now, there is a good amount of red candlesticks up here, but it's nothing where I'm like, man, this thing's just getting, dunked on. No, it's hanging on. It's kind of just working its way sideways. Makes me think that we want to break to the upside eventually. And what I think will do that is a weaker dollar and weaker yields. That's what's going to send gold to the upside. We're just most likely early, and you're going to want to watch oil. If oil rips it to the upside here, most likely we're going to see yields and dollar go up. It's going to keep the pressure on gold for a period of time. Silver up a little bit today, 0.73%. It's hanging in there. Nice, good move off the bottom of that support zone of that bullish engulfing there. So that we tried moving up. We got a little bit of selling pressure today, but it's hanging on above this trend line that I've got drawn in there. It's still squeezing up. Platinum's looking a little bit better. We're right on support. It's holding. We had a nice, good, juicy day today, up 2%. And palladium also up quite a bit, throwing in a bullish engulfing. I do think that this is probably trying to bottom here and work its way on up. It is a bullish engulfing, which is a reversal candlestick, and we were up 3.13% today. Pretty big move for a commodity. XAU to gold ratio. Look at this thing, guys. It's squeezing right into the corner here. And we've got a nice big bullish engulfing. Could we get a launch to the upside? Very much possible for gold and silver mining companies to try to work their way up at this particular time. Again, we're underneath the big long-term resistance level that we have not broken out of yet. CRB index, we are basically just moving sideways. We could see a little bit of a downward move in the short term. It's going to be highly dependent on oil. We've got a lot of resistance right where we're at. If we kind of back out and you run a trend line across, there's a little bit of resistance there. And you'll see it a little bit more on the oil chart. And this is CRB versus the S&P 500. It still looks good to go higher, favoring the CRB index versus the S&P 500. And what would cause that? If I were to guess, oil goes up, interest rates go up, and oil's going to have to take off here. It's up against resistance, and I'll show you the oil chart here in a little bit. And if we break, we could see yields start to move on up. And that's going to be a headwind to the S&P 500. And it depends on how big the movements are. I mean, if it just moves up a little bit, the S&P is like a runaway freight train right now. So we got to see how big those yields move too. GDX up. It looks like it's trying to put in a bullish engulfing to move higher. That looks pretty good. GDXJ's got the same setup, and so does SILJ. Notice that they're all the same setup. So we squeezed up here, and we've got a nice big bullish engulfing, and let's see if we can get some traction here to move to the upside for the gold and silver mining companies. Crude oil, it's treading right at resistance. So if I were to throw a horizontal line here, we've got resistance right through that line there. And yields are very sensitive to the price of oil. And this is one to watch right here. We're up against resistance. We hit it here, hit it there, came back down, hit our head. We're coming up with the lows here. See how that's coming on up? We're not drawing back as much. I think the sellers are getting tired. Now, does this punch through immediately, or do we have another loop that we want to do like that? I don't know what that looks like necessarily, but I think we're trying to punch through. And if we can punch through, I think that's going to result with higher yields. And then a commodity to S&P 500 ratio could go up. All those other things kind of fall in place. TTF gas down. We're basically right at support. We'll see if the support holds. It looks like it's trying to dip a little bit below it. Natural gas really selling off today. And I'm not seeing this type of move in the natural gas companies. I think that we're probably getting close to a potential bottom If this can turn around here, because people are buying the natural gas companies despite the natural gas price being down at $1.75. That is really cheap for natural gas. And one thing I will say, guys, if you're looking for opportunities, look here. Look at the natural gas opportunities. This is a very cheap price that we've got down here. So we've got XOP, yeah, you know me, up today, 1.63%, despite natural gas being down and crude was slightly higher. I'm looking at this from a little bit longer term view. This is a big shoulder head shoulder, and this thing could easily rip it here. We're talking, I was going to say NASCAR style, but I don't know how that basically relates to this. But this looks very good. And, look at the red candlesticks here. Big selling pressure move, kind of squeezed up here, pulled back down to this level. We have a stronger impulse move higher with small red candlesticks. This thing is, I'm looking for a move up. The sellers are getting tired here. We ripped through this trend line here, the neckline. We're off to the races, baby. We're off to the races. OIH, which is the energy service company, is also looking good. And what I like when you take like a monthly view, you get an impulse move up and then a squeeze lower very slowly. That is a bullish formation for a move to the upside. So I'm looking for the upside. We haven't broken out yet. We're up against support. I get it. I get it. But this is one that I think we could potentially see a move here with some time. With some time. We're looking for a big green candlestick that puts in a bottom somewhere in this general vicinity. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is up 1.57%. It's looking good. We've got a little bit of selling pressure there and not too much of a bounce. So it might take a little bit of time. Just calm down. We might have to base out a little bit and then work our way on up. URA down. It's flat today. And we're kind of back to this, a little bit of support through here, a little bit of trading through here. So you're going to get a little bit of support, and we're right on the top of that. URNM also, we're still on top of the support region. So everything is A-OK. We'll probably go sideways for maybe a little bit. Got a little bit of loosey-goosey on the selling pressure there, which makes me think we need to work off some selling pressure. We've got some weak hands. Maybe some new investors are scared of the volatility. I don't know. But maybe we're going to work a little bit sideways before working our way on up. And again, guys, this is uranium. This thing could rip at any time if the buyers get all FOMO style, and you know how it is. When people get excited, when the price goes up, people want to buy. They just chase shiny objects. And this is a shiny object that's going up. And we've got a lot of shiny object people that like to chase shiny big price moves, what I'll say. URNJ also, it looks like it's trying to settle a little bit, but the momentum is still higher. We're just getting a little bit of consolidation. TAN's up 4%. We're coming up back to that resistance level up there. We've got copper putting in, it looks like it's trying to put in a bottom here. We get little wicks at the bottom. So let's see if we can get a little bit of momentum to the upside and stay inside this big, glorious pattern that we have developed. COPX is up 1.7%, which is good because we're seeing positioning in the copper miners, which is always a good thing. If you're going to go higher, generally you see positioning in the mining companies the same time or before the actual metal itself. For some reason, COPX doesn't want to pull up at this exact moment. There we go. And that looks like it's trying to put in a bottom. It's a bullish engulfing, so it looks like we want to go higher. Lithium up 1.63%. It's working its way on up. Looks like the downtrend line's broken, so that looks good. REMX is doing the same thing. It's working its way on up. I'm not convinced that this is just going to rip, but we'll see. This is a lot of strong downside momentum coming out of this. And again, if interest rates go up, these have not shown strength with interest rates going up here, recently. S&P 500, it is slightly lower, but again, the momentum still to the upside. It's not a reverse candlestick yet, and we are looking for a potential reversal candlestick if we're going to get one. I do see a little bit I'll throw the trend line on here of a squeezing upward, and I'm just going to draw it in roughly, kind of like that, where it's squeezing up, and that can sometimes end in a potential topping pattern where we dive back down below, and it might be a retest of this breakout where we come back down and retest, something like that. Just an observation. NASDAQ also a little bit of a small down day today, but the momentum is still to the upside, undeniably. We do have a little bit of a squeezing pressure. I'll just draw it in coming up there too, a little bit. KRE up 2.15%, right up against resistance again, and I do think that this is going to unleash at some point. Why? Because I think we're going to sell a bunch more homes, new homes, and it's going to help the banks make more money. Emerging markets are up a little bit, 0.8%, and we're in this gigantic mess of consolidation. We've got XHB ripping 1.7%. We basically broke out and we are ripping to the upside with KRE, the regional banks who make loans. So we're in the thick of an expansion phase of real estate now, and the home builders are liking their odds, I guess. Moo also working up. This looks like it's trying to put in a bottom up 1.3%. Are we going to get to the $69 level? I don't know, but this is a pretty good opportunity here in certain sectors that I'm seeing. We cover some of those opportunities on the website, and some of them are in the fertilizer agribusiness sector. Iron ore up a little bit today, 0.65%. We've got the bullish engulfing here, and that does look like we are trying to put some work into the upside. Aluminum right on support. We had a nice little update today that is a bullish engulfing. We'll see if we can get some momentum to the upside here. Some of the aluminum companies that we cover too look pretty good. They look pretty good. Baltic Dry Index, we know there was some activity in the Red Sea, and it looks like this wants to head higher again. We're right at support, this support line that I drew in, and hopefully we can get some upside traction here to the upside for those sectors. Tankers look good too. A lot of good ideas around tankers and dry bulk, and if you're part of the website, you guys know we are enjoying the returns. Global coal, Newcastle coal futures down a little bit, but again, guys, with natural gas down, I think this is going to be bottoming here soon. I think natural gas will bottom at some point over the next few months. A lot of opportunity there. Bitcoin ripping it. Looks like we've got too much liquidity in this system. People are still speculating. The chasing shiny object people are back in the Bitcoin crypto mix, up to $50,000 an ounce. It looks pretty strong to me. Ethereum also breaking out of its resistance channel today and looking fantastic to grind on up. Don't forget, a lot of the times you break out, sometimes you get a retest move or a bloody nose or a couple of small down days before it rips to the upside. That is very much a possibility. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. We do have the discount going on called LEAP, LEAP for leap year. We've got that going on. You get a bigger discount if you sign up for the yearly membership. And if any of you monthly guys want to go to the yearly, go for it and save some money if you like the service. I'm picking up of some more training stuff, guys. I've got another idea. I know you guys like me sharing as much as I can. What I'm going to try to do next question and answer session is I'm going to try to tie in a better understanding for everyone to understand the leverage that you're getting in a company. What does debt do to a company? How does a company, make money? What's the linkage between the commodity, the company, and you making money? I want to go over that because I know a lot of people really are chasing very speculative companies. And I want to make sure that you guys know kind of the way it works, the plumbing. And it's really important because what it does is what I will hopefully describe to you guys will link itself to the charts. It gives you that reason of why a company may outperform another company. And we'll go over that next question and answer session, which is at Saturday, 7 a.m. Next Saturday, if you guys are interested. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.